What's going on? It's Fist. I want to talk about Advanced Warfare, and the reason why it's not really doing so well as far as units sold, as far as concurrent online players, as far as a lot of things. I mean, why is Call of Duty a shell of itself? Probably if you're a shareholder, or maybe you just are out there and you don't understand why Call of Duty is doing so bad as far as, the game in general. And I want to start out by explaining to you that you're looking at Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, the very first patch notes that are out. And you could tell where the focus of Activision, I don't know if this is part of the CEO or is this just an initiative from every dev team owner of their specific branch of subcontracting and doing the game, if it's their doing or it's initiative by the CEO. I don't really have a clue, and but I'm sure it's got to come from the top. I'm just guessing. So I look at the very first patch notes in this Call of Duty, and to start off and say this, is that the game is completely unbalanced as far as weapons are concerned for the general public, the online general public, in the fact that you want to have fun with them. You buy the game for $60, $70, or whatever it is, and you want to experience the game in its entirety. You want to use a bunch of the weapons, you want to experience everything, you want to have some you want to have some fun with the game. The whole point of a video game is to have fun. That's the purpose of a video game, is to have fun. And I think I've already covered this many a times. I mean, I look at Minecraft sold for $2.5 billion and it's still generating income, and it's a great game. It's fun to play. It's just a relaxing game, and everybody can pick it up and enjoy it, and that's the model you want, right? Isn't the end game to make money for your shareholders? Isn't that the end game, and have your cake and eat it too? But when I'm looking at Call of Duty, it just seems like they keep going backwards, and I don't know who they're trying to please, because I'm looking at the notes, the very first patch notes, and you'll look at it, and there's this little list for the weapons. This is how big the list is. But then you look at the bottom, and I'll leave a link in the description below. But then you look at the list. I've never seen this in the whole entire life of the Call of Duty, in the lifespan of the Call of Duty franchise. There's a list. The very first patch of this game, there's a list this long for esports. Esports. And I'm saying to myself, why? It's like the studio is tied. Their hands are tied behind the back. It's almost it's like Michael Condrey, is a liar. And the reason why I would say that is because he said on Twitter, he says, "Oh, we're going to work for the casual community as well." And to me, in my opinion, as a casual gamer, and I know I speak for everybody out there who is not on the social internet, inner space, whatever you want to call it, they're not visual. And even if you have 1 million followers, that doesn't represent the total community who plays this game. I remember back when they had commercials and they showed a barber and they showed guys that were cutting hair, and there was this huge spectrum of people that they were advertising to, and now that's all gone. Like, they just totally just abandoned it. I don't understand what their end game is. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm looking at these notes, and these notes are nerf the BAL, nerf the HR3, buff the LMGs. Everything else we're not touching. And so I'm playing it through the week after through the first patch, and I'm saying to myself, this studio and Michael Condrey and Sledgehammer and all of Activision are so scared of the esports community based on their social status in the atmosphere, the social stratosphere. They're so worried about what they're going to say It almost reminds me of that fish guy. He was made a game, and then people made some comments, and he ran away like a little crybaby and just took off and just quit the internet. And he says, "I'm not making part 2." I don't know what these developers have this weird personality where they can't take any criticism, or they don't want to. Maybe their life is so tied into the internet, and that anybody who has the big followers in the internet, which all that could be botted and lied, and they just buy into that, and I don't understand it. It's not that's not who's buying your game. And so there's this huge list of all this esports stuff, and there hasn't been anything that has said that esports produces units sold for the Call of Duty game. And I'm looking at, and I'm like, okay, so you say you nerfed the battle, which, come on, let's be honest. If the list is this big for esports, do you really think that they're going to go out and nerf the battle? And they said they increased the AM1 or whatever, the 2 SMGs, the MP7 or MP, whatever they call it now, the MP11. And they buffed the worst guns in the game because they know that esports is not going to use them in esports 4v4 game. They're not going to use the LMGs. So we're going to go ahead and buff those so we don't upset the 0.001% of the people who buy our game, but for some reason have the most influence. These are the guys who are manipulating the studios by botting their, got their viewers or whatever. It doesn't even matter. Even if they don't have botted viewers or don't have, pumped up subscribers. The fact is that there's nothing in the history of esports Call of Duty that has increased the sales of the game. If anything, you destroyed the very thing that created Call of Duty, and that was YouTube videos, that people could make any type of videos because they were having fun with the game and using all types of videos, and somebody could go out there and try what they were doing, and they could duplicate it, and it would be fun to them. You took all of that away. I mean, you took away what made Call of Duty. Now you funneled yourself down to point whatever. I don't know, like there's 3 teams that constantly win the same. There's 4 people, 12 people. And I don't understand how 12 people, 3 teams, maybe I'll even give you the benefit of doubt. 1,000 teams times 4,000 people. I'll give you 1,000 pro teams. 4,000 people have influence over 20 million plus people who purchased your game. You mean to tell me 20 million people play your esports initiative? It's not true. So who are you catering to? How can you sustain the 3 studios? How can you keep developing? How could you go in that direction when ever since Black Ops 1, if you go back, and I did a video on this, if you look at Black Ops 1, concurrent users online and the amount of people who buy the game have went steadily down. I mean, we're down to 11 million, and people say, oh, it's not Christmas yet. Well, that doesn't matter. This is 2014. If your game doesn't sell X amount of copies, it's not going to sell that amount of copies. Like, they have to go out of their way now to bundle Call of Duty with the Xbox One to even make... I mean, all their sales have come from the Xbox 360. So people are not investing in an Xbox that's $99. An Xbox 360 at the pawn shop's like $50. $50 or the game $60. I mean, it's pretty much $110 versus $500, $450 for Call of Duty and a brand new Xbox 360 or Xbox One or a PS4. I mean, when I'm looking at all of it and I'm painting the big picture, it's like you're surviving off the PS3 and the Xbox 360 sales, and that's pretty much it. The fact is, if they didn't own those consoles already, this game, if it didn't have the Call of Duty name on it, it would be dead. And the fact that you totally abandoned the people who made you who you are, I mean, it's reflected in your sales. They're just not going to come back. And it's just a complete lie from the studio to say that you're working for everybody and you're doing it for the casual gamers when you're not. When you're specifically, your very first patch out of the box is nerf a couple weapons that are not really nerf. The BAL still beats everything, regardless of your nerf. And then you buff the LMGs, a laser EM1 laser weapon. Let me wrap your head around this one. A laser weapon that makes noise and that has a muzzle lift or whatever. You know, it bounces up and down. The last time I checked, when you shoot a laser out of something, it goes in a straight line no matter what. It doesn't, there's no recoil. Yeah, recoil on a laser. And the laser makes sound. So let me get this straight. You buffed a laser weapon that makes sound, that has recoil, and it's in the LMG class, and it's really, really slow. Well, thanks a lot. That's so awesome, mighty whitey of you to do that for us. I appreciate that. And every other weapon in the game is useless. So why am I paying my money when you're going out of your way to satisfy people that don't even buy the game, that you fly out everywhere, and all they are is for show? They're just they're just a video billboard that you exploit, and nobody's buying the games because they can't be like them. They don't have the time to play 70 hours a week. They can't get in their cliquish groups to get to play the little esports rules that have nothing to do with the game. There's esports rules made up by a cliquish group of teenagers that egos are out of this world, that all they do is play 70 hours a week. It has nothing to do with the regular game that people come home, recognize, have fun, want to show you the fun that they're having on YouTube, post those videos so other people can look at them and have fun too. Instead, what do? You give unreal expectations for tweens, so once they figure out that they can't put the 70 hours a week, their parents won't let them do it, they're not getting into that clique, and they can't make it. Guess what? Those people who used to have fun and just play the game, guess what they do? They just quit. Because that's what little tweenies do. They just quit. The 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old kids quit. They're the biggest quitters on earth. They're not going to take a beating. And this is 2014 especially. They're not going to stay and play your game. I'm going to give you a word of advice. Excuse me. Make the game for everybody. It doesn't matter if it's raining on the field for one person, it's raining on the field for it. It's the same the both ways. Instead, you've made the game with a ridiculous curve, 15 levels to prestige. And every level, I mean, the weapons are seriously on another level. And the setups and the perks just give you such a huge advantage. You could, in the matchmaking, the true skill matchmaking, you're literally forcing people to try to be MLG sweaty, try hard pro. It's not going to happen. It's reflected in your numbers. I don't know what the initiative is here. Anyways, that's why Call of Duty is doing as bad as it's doing. Is because they don't care. It's not that they don't care. It's because they're ignorant. They're ignorant because they believe, all they believe is numbers. You know, when you're at an executive level, a CEO, head of a studio, all you do is see what is in front of you. And all you see is, like, you know, what is socially being amplified out there. You don't see the regular, continuous customers who just come in and have to buy their milk every 3 days, or the guy who has to, you know, get his bread every day. You don't see those guys. You just expect them to come in. But when you can seriously destroy the game and completely change it and take the bread and the milk off the shelf, well, there goes your bread and butter. It's gone. They're not buying your game anymore. And you're wondering, you're like, oh my God, what are we doing? What are we doing wrong? We're sucking the ass off of esports and all the social accepted kiddie poos out here. How come these kids ain't buying their game? And then you're just pounding your head even harder. You've got 3 studios on a 3-year cycle trying to please a little fucking 4,000, I'm being generous, 4,000 pros. I'm being very generous. Maybe 3 teams is what you're trying to please. It's impossible. You're telling me, oh, it's hard to please everybody out there. It's hard to please fun. It's hard to please these guys and their stupid-ass rules. They have nothing to do with the original game that you put out there for people to play. How do you expect, if they got their own set of rules and the game is like this, how do you expect that initiative to grow? It's impossible. It's a catch-22. You cannot do it. You are trying to promote the impossible. You cannot promote what's not in the game in an esports. It's too different. Now when you try to make changes, and you don't make changes for people to have fun on the game like you're doing right now with this very first patch, it just shows people that you care more about a group of people that have nothing to do with the general public. And if they can't have fun and you're not making that initiative to change the game for them to have fun, then why should we stick around? Why should we buy your DLC? I'm not going to buy your DLC. I'm not going to buy another copy for the PS4 either. This is it. I'm just going to play what there is until the next game comes out. Literally, you have cut yourself completely out. I mean, you made it easy for everybody in the community, in the gaming community, to just. I mean, you're an easy target now. Your head has just gotten this big with the target with the biggest cross on it. It's just so easy to hit. Because now, instead of before, when people didn't even bother to post any more videos or stream any other games besides Call of Duty, as soon as another first-person shooter comes out, they're gone. Gone. Your DLC, your studio is working all that hard work for nothing. They're not going to sell nothing. You're spinning your wheels. When another first-person shooter comes out, and thank goodness, even though Hardline is nothing but Battlefield 5 or whatever with the urban combat, at least they listen to some of the people out there like myself who are posting videos that your game is going to be deader than dead before January. They should probably release Hardline in February, but at least they are smart enough not to release Medal of Honor a month before Battlefield and do the same dumbass thing with Hardline and release it right before a Battlefield game. And they're releasing it in the spring. Thank God they listened to that. Because as soon as another first-person shooter comes out, your game has no sustainability. And all you're going to be doing is spinning your wheels with esports. It's a downward spiral. Downward spiral. And like I said, I don't have a problem with that. But let me ask you this question. I know people are out there going to say, oh, you know, you're such a hater on esports. Let me ask you a question and ask this to yourself. If Activision made a standalone MLG sports game only, 4v4, that's it. It only came with 4v4, their 4v4 maps and everything. Do you think that game would sell 20 million copies? Do you think it would sell 11 million copies? Do you think it would sell 5 million copies? I bet you I will chop off my right arm if it did over 5 million by itself. If it just said esports, Call of Duty esports, that's it. I wouldn't buy it. And so why are you trying to sell that initiative under this platform and saying that it's Call of Duty? Because you know you're lying to the public. And it's showing. They only bought 11 million copies to this point. It's showing. You have to drop the prices. You have to bundle it in with the Xbox. That's the only way you're selling it. So that very first patch notes just tells me they don't care about you. They don't care about the general public having fun. They're more pussy that they're going to upset esports community if they change the weapons. They won't mess with the snipers. They won't mess with none of the other weapons. If it has anything to do with esports in the initiative, because both the games are connected. So if they change any of that, that means it changes online. They don't care about you. So why should we care about them? Why should I buy you? If you don't care about me, why should I buy your DLC? I'm not going to. I'm not going to buy, literally, I only bought this game because I wanted to see how different it was. And it's terrible. The initiative is terrible. The idea is terrible. And then the only thing you got in here is Exo Jump that you designed for 3 years, and you just slapped it on the Black Ops 2 scripting model, and that was it. That's it. So, I'm totally disappointed. Michael Condrey, you're a liar. You lied to the community. You said you care about the casual gamers. You do not. If you did care about the casual gamers, then you would make this game fun online. Instead, it has a curve that's ridiculous. Chase away all the new players that want to play this game and have fun. You don't change or buff any of the weapons. You make the worst weapons that you know esports is not going to play, the LMGs, and everything else is irrelevant. The AM1 is still going to lose to the Bal. No matter what you say, it's still going to get smoked. It's ridiculous. And then the list this long for esports, oh, this is what we're going to do for them. How do you have the time and the resources to go off and do a huge ass fixes for them, but when it comes to the weapons, you can do this much for us. This much for us to have fun with. It's a fucking slap in the face. It's a fucking lie. It's kind of disrespectful. And that's why you shouldn't buy the DLC. And that's why Call of Duty is going down the tubes. Is because their initiative does not include the people that patronized them in the beginning. And I don't really care, you know. I mean, I enjoyed watching videos, and I mean, it's the same thing. But you're trading for less. You're trading. You get the same millions and millions and millions of views off of YouTube, off of just people having fun with the game, versus the views that you get for esports, supposed views on esports. We don't know if they're botted on live views, but that's for a very select group of people that are watching it. It's become, I mean, you just basically traded down. How do you trade down? Don't you want everybody to experience it? You're trading down to esports viewership that people can't experience. They're not going to be able to do it. But if you had fun and everybody's having fun and they're posting their videos on YouTube and streaming them, then everybody else could say, I could do that too. And who cares? Like, I give you an example, the M16, everybody could use it. Well, if you could use the M16, so could the next guy. It's equal. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Yeah, it's an arcade shooter. Well, the bottom line is the video game. So no matter what, if there's I got skill to play this game. No, it's not. If it's an arcade shooter, I got better skill than you because I spent more time. Okay, yeah, I can accept that, but at least I have a fighting chance of the weapons are the same, rather than playing Call of Duty and I got to rank up and get my perks and all this unlocked and blah, 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 blah. And man, it's inundated with work. It's not even fun. Man, you guys killed this game. You know, I'm just, you know what? You did it with Guitar Hero. You're going to do it with Call of Duty. Oh, yeah, you know, the rights to the music, blah, 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 blah. Look, you just kill it. You guys are excellent at killing games. So, you know, EA's maybe EA's making a comeback because, you know, I'm looking at they're taking time to make a good Battlefront game. They're getting smart about releasing, you know, Hardline in the spring when Call of Duty should be dead by the end of January, to be honest with you. Once the Christmas crowd goes back to school after the Christmas vacation, that game's dead. So, that's it. And look, they took off the counter off the game. You don't even know how many people are online, concurrent users. They don't want you to use that against them because they know the game's crap online. Anyway, that's the end of my rant. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you understand why Call of Duty is just like a complete failure at this moment. You know, it's just, you know, why am I making this video? Because I really cared about the game. I really did. I cared about it. I mean, I'm passionate about it. And it's just shameful when you get, like, if you haven't been around since day one, since beta Call of Duty, then you don't know. All you know is the bullshit that you've been Coney 2012 with on the social stratosphere. So you're fucking brainwashed. You believe what the social stratosphere tells you. You weren't there in the beginning. You don't know that there's a certain chronological order of the way the things went. And people say, oh yeah, Call of Duty's dead. It's not dead. A military first-person shooter will never be dead. The majority of our population's been in the military. The majority of our population's competitive. They want to be winners. That's what they do. They get the competitive edge. they want to be in there and they want to feel like the normal dude wants to feel like he's done something. You want to feel like you can go Rambo up in a game and win? Yeah, you have a chance to do that. This game, no. This game is so tempered. There's such a huge idol on this game. You can't kill more than 2 or 3 people. Your gun can't do it. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. If I wanted to play Rainbow Six 1989, I'd play Rainbow Six 1981. I don't want to play Graw or any of those shitty-ass, slow-paced, 50,000 bullets in your back game. I don't want to do that. It's terrible. So, they ruin. I mean, they say that this is a classic military first-person shooter. I mean, listen, if that were the case, then Insurgency, a shitty, I mean, not shitty, but a small studio comes up with a minimal graphic game with a million users on Steam. It's a classic military first-person shooter. All they had to do, and look at the example of Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 1, 2, something like 3. Then they went off on some fucking crazy-ass tangent, 4D, 3D, and Ed Boon went fucking nuts, and Midway went bankrupt, and then he wound up at Walt Disney or Warner Brothers. And they finally went back to what all they did was they created a 3D background, brought up the graphics, and made Mortal Kombat 2. That's their bread and butter. They understood. They fucked up. They brought it back. Maybe they need to do that here at Call of Duty. You don't need 3 studios working on this game. All you need to do is increase the graphics, make a better, organic military weapons and actions and drama and organicness, and have people being able to use every single gun. Yeah, maybe slightly different from it, but this is far extremes, like the BAL and then the MK14. Like, this shit should be strict. Like, the MK14 should be the last unlock, and the MK14 should be the first unlock. Like, this is just, all the weapons should be like this. They should be really close, and some little things should change them all the way through all the weapons. So, like, the AK should be like very powerful but slow shooting. The MK14 should be 2-shot kill no matter what. It's the last unlock. And maybe if you want to slow down the mobility, it's too powerful, do that. The laser weapon shouldn't make noise when you're firing a laser. Last time I checked, what do the lasers shoot through fucking air and breaks the sound barrier? No, it's not supposed to do any of that. Like, none of this shit makes any sense. Man. Believe me, it's not a tired series. If somebody made a classic military first-person shooter, arcade, fun game that everybody could use, that's not stupid and corny, but somewhat realistic, but organic, and that everybody could play, it would be a hit. It's that simple. Stop catering to one specific group of people that have no... The more together, the better. That is the key. The more you have to play with, the funner it is. The funnest it can be. And it's like you went the total opposite. Let's just cater to 3 teams. There's silly-ass rules, but we're still going to make this game and lose tons and tons of money and make 3 studios work as hard as they can and spend fucking bazillions of dollars on marketing to save our ass for making this game this way for these clowns. And the marketing is going to fucking bail us out every time. We're going to fucking use and abuse our stockholders. And that's what it is. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, the mindset. Like, what is going on over at Activision? Anyways, I'm done. I know it's a long rant. Maybe somebody of importance can see this and understand. Maybe you're a different studio and you realize, okay, this is what I need to do. And, I'm not going to be, really, maybe a couple years ago, Call of Duty, you couldn't break into that first-person shooter genre. Now it's a piece of cake. Make a military shooter, you're fucking in like Flynn. Anyways, I'm done. That's why Call of Duty sucks right now. Until next time, it's your boy Fizz. Peace. I'm out.